before I get to the sermon this morning, is this on? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Yeah. It's crazy with that little tiny switch to do, isn't it? Before we get into the sermon this morning, I just want us to take a look back over 2017 in the life of our church. Because God has blessed us in a mighty way. If you look back, we've had continuous growth in attendance over the last 3 years. We've had growth in Sunday school and small groups. We've had growth in giving tithes and offerings. We've had growth in special offerings, each of the ones that we've had this year. And I don't know about y'all, but that's a mighty big blessing that God has put on our church. Just a mighty big blessing that if we're always looking ahead, we don't see the things that we need to praise His name for and say thank you for those blessings. So we do have a lot to be thankful for in the life of our church and what's going on here. And the ministries are growing, and I don't know about y'all, but the spirit of the people are growing. Through small groups and through worship attendance and through men's breakfast and women's dinners, awesome things are happening here. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about what's going to happen in 2018. And if I don't stop now and get to the sermon, I'll be here for 3 hours. So some of y'all probably want to go to lunch. Raise your hand if you want me to go ahead for 3 hours. I'll see y'all afterwards. So there's a call that comes into the sheriff's office. And the call is that there was an accident out on the interstate and that they needed them to come out and assist. That the driver was being taken to the hospital and they needed some help. So the sheriff gets his deputy and they go out to the highway and there are penguins everywhere. This was a truck that was taking 50 penguins to the zoo. And this truck had broken down and the penguins were all over the road running around, and the sheriff turns to the deputy and he says, what I need you to do is gather up all these penguins, put them back in the truck, and take these penguins to the zoo. So the deputy runs around and he gets all the penguins and he loads them in the truck and he takes them to the zoo. About 2 hours later, the sheriff is driving down Main Street and he looks over on the sidewalk. And there is the deputy marching down the sidewalk with 50 penguins behind him. And he pulled over and he got out of his car and he went over to the deputy and he said, I thought I told you to take these penguins to the zoo. He said, I did, but they got bored, so now I'm taking them to the movies. The point of this is that sometimes God has a path that He would like for us to walk on, that He's instructed us to follow. And sometimes we kind of get bored or apathetic, and the next thing you know, we're following our path instead of the path that God wanted us to follow. And so this morning, we're going to take a look at Ecclesiastes. We're going to look at chapter 1, and we're going to focus on verses 1 through 17. And Ecclesiastes was written by Solomon, the wisest man to ever live on this earth. And the reason that he is the wisest man is he was the third king of Israel. Saul, David, son of David, Solomon. And as Solomon became the king, he was in prayer. He wanted to be a great leader. And God came to him and he said, Solomon, what is it that you want me to give to you? And Solomon, because he was so humble, he said, I want knowledge. I want understanding. I want to be able to understand how to make decisions for these people and lead them as you would have me to lead them. So God blessed him with knowledge. He became the most knowledgeable man to walk the earth at that time. The most knowledgeable of all kings, all leaders. But not only that, because he was so humble, God blessed him with wealth, with prosperity, with honor. Solomon had it all. And as he writes this book, he looks back over his life, and we're going to take a look at chapter 1. We're going to look at chapter 1, verses 1 through 17. And it says, the words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, there is something new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow. I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I devoted myself to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under heaven. What a heavy burden God has laid on men. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned that this too is chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. For more knowledge, the more grief. So that sounds kind of chaotic. It sounds like a dog chasing his tail round and round. Things just continue to happen. The sun goes up and the sun goes down and returns back to the same place. The wind blows to the north and the wind blows to the south and the wind returns to the north again. It's like a cycle of life, and he says it's all meaningless. So let's break that down and see what he really means. See, the book of Ecclesiastes is written by Solomon. And he's at the end of his life, and he's looking back. And he's looking back over his life to the times where he was right together with God and the times where he was distant from God. And when he's writing Ecclesiastes 1, he looks back at a time in his life where he was totally separate from God. You see, God blessed him with all these many things of knowledge and of riches and of wives and of land and of animals. He blessed him with all of those things. And Solomon kind of lost sight of God in this. And if you look at what he's saying here, he's saying four major things. He's saying that life without God is meaningless, tiresome, unfulfilling, and uncontrollable. And we're going to break these down and we're going to look at them. And I want you to think right now. I want everybody in here to think about where you are right now in your relationship with God. Are we kind of standing off by ourselves in a corner and God's somewhere out there? Or have we allowed God to just fill us, especially during this time of year, allow God to just fill us and we're seeking Him in all that we do? Because what we're going to learn here is that when we're over in a corner and we're away from God, this is what we're going to experience. This will be what our life is like. And it says here in verses 1 through 4 that life will be meaningless. Meaningless. He says it over and over again, meaningless. That a life outside of the pathway and purpose that God has for us will be a life that is absolutely meaningless. It'll be like baking a big pretty cake and then throwing it out in the yard. You put in the effort, but it doesn't mean anything. And that's where Solomon is as he looks back on his life and he looks at those times where he's away from God. And he says, my life away from God is meaningless. And then he goes on in verses 5 through 8 and he says it becomes tiresome. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever just felt tired? Just like, I don't want to do anything today but sit in the lazy boy all day long, all week long, felt that way? 2 of y'all have felt that way. I feel that way more than once a week, right? Solomon says when we're feeling that, it's because we're not following the pathway that God would have us to follow. Because if we're following that pathway, then God fills our spirit and energizes us. That yes, there are times that we need rest, but even during that time, we're not tired. We're rejuvenated. God will fill our hearts with the Spirit to give us energy to move ahead. And when we're feeling tired, it's because we're in the corner and we're away from God. And here's one that really hit me hard. Unfulfilling. Unfulfilling. Have you ever done like a big project and at the end of it, it was just like no feeling to it? You got an award at work and it's like, it's just unfulfilling. Let me paint this picture for you and see if this helps. God has a path that when we're fulfilling the purpose that He has given each of us, He has blessed us with gifts and talents. When we're on that path, I'm going to use Amelia as an example. Can I use you as an example? You want to stand up? I'm just playing. So when Amelia was born into this world, God breathed life into her. And He said, Amelia, I'm going to bless you with the gifts and talents of music. And one day, if you'll follow this path, you're going to be playing music around the world. And I'm going to get the honor and the glory for you tapping on those keys. And I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to lift you up, and I'm going to put people around you to encourage you and lift you up. And I really want you to take those gifts and those talents, and I want to be seen through you so that God gets the glory. And He breathed life into her, and He said, go, little woman. I've got a path for you, and I would like for you to follow it. And I kind of see that that's what goes on here. Is that all of a sudden we're going down the path that God has for us, and then we look over to the side and we see a blueberry patch. You like the blueberry patch, don't you, Patrick? I shared some things with Patrick. He likes the blueberry patch. So we're walking along the path that God would have us to be walking on, and we're fulfilling what He has called us to be, using the gifts and the talents that He's given us, and we see a little blueberry patch over here. And now you decide, God, I am enjoying being right where I am, and you're getting all the honor, and you're getting all the glory, but you know what? I see something over here. I see a blueberry patch. I see an opportunity for me to get recognized, not just you. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick a blueberry. Ooh, and the blueberries are sweet, but as I look further into the woods, I see bigger blueberries. And so I'm not quite fulfilled with the little blueberries that I have now. I need bigger blueberries. So I go deeper in the woods. Meanwhile, I'm getting further away from the path that God's called me to be on. Next thing you know, I'm so far off the path, I can't even see it anymore. And that's exactly what Solomon is saying. As he looked back over his life, he got so far off the path that life was no longer fulfilling him. The more blueberries that he ate, and the more that he chased, they kept getting bigger the further away he got from the path. But yet that wasn't fulfilling. He had to do more. He had to get more. And folks, if we're relying on the world to fulfill us, it will never happen. We'll continue to chase it day after day after day, and we'll never get enough recognition to fill our hearts. The only way we're going to get that recognition is by being on the path that God has called us to be on, to fulfill that purpose that He's breathed into us, and to walk along that path so that He gets the glory and not us. So what does this mean to us? There's one more step, and then we're going to get to that. The last one is in verses 12 through 17, with a focus on 15 and 17. He talks about the fact that it's like chasing after wind. You'll never catch it. It's like we can't get control. Has anybody ever in here felt like, I just can't get control in life? No matter what I do, I just can't grasp it. Anybody ever felt that way before? I think we probably all felt that way before. And what Solomon is saying here is, if we can get back in tune with God, if we can get back in tune with God, we don't have to have control. Because He does. And if God has control, we don't need to worry about it.
We just need to keep on doing for God. Keep on living for God. Keep on encouraging those around us. Keep on using the gifts and talents that God has given us to glorify and honor Him. And if we can do that, we don't need to be in control. Because He hasn't. So let me ask you, have you ever asked yourself, why am I here? Why did God put me on this earth? I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything or making a difference. Why am I here? Have you ever just felt empty no matter what you were accomplishing? Have you ever felt like there just has to be more to life than this? I'm just trudging along and there's got to be more to life than this. And if we're asking ourselves these questions, I think what we need to do is hit our knees and talk to God. Because if we do that, we get our eyes off of us and we focus on God, and then those things don't matter anymore. Because what Solomon recognized as he wrote in Ecclesiastes is that life without God didn't matter. That there was no substance to it. If I am not in tune with God, in relationship with God, there's no substance to my life. I'm just going to go through chasing the wind that's going to the north and to the south and to the north again. I'm going to be like a dog chasing his tail, accomplishing nothing, feeling no self-worth. But let me tell you, folks, y'all are worth something in the eyes of God. Y'all are precious in His sight. There's a song that tells us that.
Amen.
We are all precious in His sight. And He wants to have relationship with us. Every single person in here, every single one in this congregation, when we were born into this world, God looked down on us and He breathed life into us. And He said, I'm going to give you this set of talents and gifts. And for some, it'll be standing up here. For some, it'll be playing an instrument. For some, it'll be the way that you bake. And how you can share the love of Christ through baking things for other people. And it might be that you've been called to tutor. It might be that you've been called to encourage folks. It might be that you've been encouraged to serve. And it might be that you've been encouraged to be in a back room tallying up numbers, but honoring and glorifying God in the way that you do it. See, we all have a part in this. But we all need to figure out what our part is in order for us to be what God has called us to be. And Solomon figured out that his was to be a leader, a king, and have the best knowledge that he could have to lead that nation. And he did great until he forgot about God. So I'm going to close with a story. I'm going to close with a story. When I was a youth minister, I took a group of folks, I think there were about 15 youth and adults, and we went to Jamaica on a trip. And for months, we prepared for this trip. And we prepared through doing devotions, and we prepared by praying, and we prepared by figuring out who had what talents that could be used on this trip. Some had musical talents. Some could do great with crafts and teaching people how to do crafts. Some could do great with sports and running a sports camp. Some were great when it comes to drama, and they were going to leave the drama part because we were going to Jamaica to work in the third world side of Jamaica, and we were going to work with children. And our whole goal, we knew our purpose. It was to go there and love those kids like they'd never been loved before, and teach them through song and drama and sports and music that there was a God that loved them. And this group was focused. We were on purpose. Does that mean that everything was smooth? Of course not. Were there stumbling blocks along the way? Yes. One of our kids ate goat and got sick and ended up in the hospital for 3 days. But you know what? He knew his purpose going down there. And his purpose was to love other people for God. And he ministered in the hospital. And the people in the bed next to him, he told them all about God. And the nurses came in and he told them about God. And this is a 17-year-old kid that had a purpose going to Jamaica. And he wasn't going to let the fact that he was in the hospital hold him back from fulfilling his purpose. And the rest of us, we were all out on the field. And man, we were just having a good time with these kids. But when we got there was this one little girl who just didn't seem to be happy in life. And her name was Paige. And myself and a couple of the kids said, you know what, there's our work project. We're going to get to know Paige, and we're going to make Paige smile. And we're going to help her to enjoy the time that we're there, and she's going to help enjoy all the folks that are there. You know, each day she got a little more involved.
And each day she got just a little bit of a smile. And by the end of the week, she had a big smile, and she was singing, and she was playing games, and she was a part of it. Because we have purpose. We all have the same purpose. To love these kids and be a reflection of God. So the last night that we were there, we went out into the neighborhood, into the street. We set up right in the middle of the street, and we did a worship service. And there was a little bar behind us, and there was a little grocery store in front of us. And in the middle of our service, goats were walking through, and chickens were walking through, and it didn't matter, because we had a purpose. We had a purpose. And we played music, and we sang hymns, and the youth did an awesome creative movement. Andrew Harris was part of that. And at the end of that, I did a little sermon. And at the end of the sermon, we remembered our purpose, and our purpose was to love those people with all our heart and all our soul, because God loved us. And we were there to exude God's love on them. And at the end of that worship service, 14 people came forward and accepted Christ. And that's not about what we did, but it's about why we did it. And one of those 14 that came forward was Paige. God had touched her heart through those folks that gathered with a purpose to share the love of God. And I tell that story to say that it's not about what we do, but it's about why we do it.
Amen.
And if we love our God and we try to grow close to God and we stay on that path, He will bless our walk on that path. So here's your challenge. Y'all ready for a challenge? Everybody look right at me, because this is a big challenge. Make 2018 in the life of this church and the life of this community and the life of your walk with God better than 2017. How do we do that? Every day, spend time in the Word. If this past year you spent a minute, this year spend 2 minutes. And you say, well, 2 minutes isn't much time. You know what? God will talk to you through 2 minutes in His Word. Spend more time in prayer and meditation. See, we're really good at the praying part, where we tell God what we want, what we need, but we're not really good in the meditation part, where we listen to what He says we really want and what we really need. And Solomon would say, if all we're doing is talking to God, it's meaningless, because we need to listen to God also. Because if we don't believe what we're praying, it's not going to happen. It's meaningless. There's no fruit. If we are not intentional about this, no one stands up on January 1st and said, this year, my goal is to gain 12 pounds, never go to the gym, not open my Bible, go to church once every 6 months. Nobody stands up on January 1st and says that. But if we aren't intentional about it, guess what? That's what happens. So tomorrow morning when you get up, say, you know what, 2018, David challenged me to have a better relationship with God. To do that through reading of His Word, through being with other Christians, through getting involved in small groups, through ministering in the workplace, through being the leaders in your family. God will bless our walk along His path. But when we're not on the path, it's meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. Let us pray. Father, we just thank You for this day. We thank You for Solomon, who was such a great and knowledgeable leader. He was humble, Father, and what he wanted from You was knowledge and understanding so that he could best lead Your people. Father, today, help us to each search for what the gifts and the talents that You've bestowed upon us. Lord, so that we can use those gifts and those talents to walk along the path that You put before us. So that we can truly fulfill our purpose for why You placed us on this earth in this time. Because You did. You placed each of us here for a reason. And sometimes, Lord, we just get lost in that. And we feel lonely, and we feel out of control, and we feel lost and empty. And Lord, be with us and restore our hearts back to You so that we can feel accomplishment, so that we can feel energized, so that we can feel Your love and Your Spirit to fill us, and that we can be what You would have us to be. Because we know through that our life will have meaning, and our life will be in an eternity with You. Father, I thank you for this church and the awesomeness of it. Just great people with big hearts that care about each other. Those that work hard to lead in worship. And those that work hard in the background to keep the heat on and to keep the dust out. For Father, you are blessing them in the same way. Father, help us to recognize you in all that we do and to seek you every single day. Help us to have a new beginning in our walk with you. Lord, we just thank you for the special gift of your Son, Jesus, that we've recognized over the last week, that you sent that Savior in the form of a baby into this world for each and every single one of us, so that we could be forgiven and made whole again, and that our mistakes